Hey, good morning. I hope you're having a great day. So, as we know, there's never a dull moment. And there's always going to be a controversy brewing with opinions and arguments and reasons to go both ways. How should we do this? So, there's this whole new controversy brewing. The vaccine's available already for a week. I think yesterday they said they had already given 500,000 or 1,000,000 Americans the vaccine and trying to move forward with it. But the reality is that there's a shortage of the vaccine. There's not enough vaccines to vaccinate everyone, at least till the second or third quarter of 2021. So who gets the vaccine first? So I know in Massachusetts there's a whole system, which doctors, which hospitals, are you inpatient, are you outpatient? And there's a whole tier. Are you a nursing home? What your age is? My cousin in Israel told me in Israel it's very simple. They must have more vaccines per person, per the amount of people who live in Israel. You're over 60 or you work in the medical field, you automatically get a vaccine. So my cousin who's 62, he's a lawyer, he's getting the vaccine today. But in America, they made this thing that all the people of Congress, all the senators and congressmen, could all get the vaccine. So if you saw, I think Vice President Pence got the vaccine on live TV, and so did President-elect Joe Biden, and Nancy Pelosi, and I think Mitch McConnell, etc., etc. And one of the reasons they did that was because they want to show that the vaccine is okay. There's a lot of conspiracy theories going around, unfortunately, saying the vaccine could cause all these things that are untrue, and people are going to be hesitant to take it. So if all these leaders take it in public, then hopefully it'll encourage people to take it. Well, yesterday there was this big controversy because AOC, who I think is 32 maybe, or 33, quite young, 31, 32, 33, very young and obviously not at risk, took the vaccine. And there was a controversy with Senator Rand Paul, who was laughing at her and saying how ridiculous and unfair it was that here you have these young congressmen cutting the line. And in fact, her own squad friend, Ilhan Omar, who no lost love for here, but she announced publicly that she's not taking it. And she railed against all those people that are not young, that are not vulnerable, that are in Congress, that are taking the vaccine. Why are you taking it? Why are you cutting the line of other Americans? And AOC said, what are you talking about? I'm not taking it for myself. I'm not worried, but we need to make sure that this doesn't become a political issue like the masks and that everyone feels comfortable. So therefore I took it, and she took it on video and she posted it on Twitter. So the question is, who's right? And obviously the idea that public figures take it in public to eradicate any doubt of the efficiency of this vaccine is a good thing, but the question is, isn't a president and a vice president, president-elect, and Speaker of the House, and Senate leader, isn't that enough? Do we need every young congressman to take it? And they have a very good point. But it's interesting because everyone's worried about, hey, what about someone else? But I want to tell you another controversy that stems from this week's Torah portion. And the controversy is like this. In this week's Torah portion, we have the epic confrontation between Joseph and Judah, and finally, when Joseph reveals himself to his brothers. At the end of last week's Torah portion, Benjamin finally comes down, which Jacob was hesitant to, and unbeknownst to the brothers, Joseph, who orchestrates a complete plan, which we'll speak about later in the week, has his special goblet, which officially he's able to see the future in, put into Benjamin's sack, and then they call the brothers back, and the brothers say, we didn't take anything, and if you find it, we'll be your slaves. And of course they find it by Benjamin, and Joseph wants to keep Benjamin as a slave. Now Judah confronts him. Don't forget, Judah is the one who sold Joseph and was insensitive 22 years later, to put it mildly. Now 22 years later, he's the one who, as the leader of the brothers, has to come and confront Joseph and try to get his brother Benjamin out without knowing it. And Judah's ready to put himself in that space. But he says a very powerful word. He pleads with Joseph, and he goes through the whole story of how they came to where they are today. And then he says to him, "Ve'eich el avi, how can I go up to my father? V'hanar einenu iti," and the lad, the young boy, Benjamin, he wasn't the young kid anymore, but he was the youngest. Einenu iti. And then he says, "V'nafshay kshura b'nafshay," and their souls are bond one with the other. Jacob won't survive it. Basically, Judah saying, "Listen, I'll stay here. I'll do anything, but if Benjamin doesn't come back, my father won't survive, and I can't have that happen." 1950s, right after the Holocaust, the worst moments for the Jewish people. We lost a third of our nation, 1,000,000+ children, 1.5 million, just butchered. The surviving Jews who came out of the ghettos, who came out of the concentration camps, the observant Jews who moved to America, they felt, look, we barely survived. We lost our best and our finest. We're coming to a place of America, which is a very different country, a very secular country, so to speak, and the freedoms are different, and we're worried about the future of our children and their connection to Judaism. We're going to build little shtetl, little ghettos. We're going to protect our own. And many of the Hasidic and the observant communities in New York did that. Now, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, blessed memory, our Rebbe, took a whole different approach. And he said that we, after losing a third of our people, after seeing the terrible devastation, we have to look out for all those Jews who are left, who are brokenhearted, who are lost, who feel disconnected from Judaism, who are leaving Judaism in such great numbers because of their pain. We have to look after them and try to inspire them and pull them back to their Judaism. And the other people said, what are you kidding? It's going to impact us. It's going to hurt us. We're not going to be able to be protected and insulated from the influence of America. How can we do that? And in fact, back in the day, and even today it's much more popular, but back in the day, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, tremendous flack for his outreach, for sending Chabad rabbis all over. I remember when the Rebbe started the mitzvah tefillin, to get everyone to wrap tefillin, and he would get people, and sometimes he would be in shorts, pull them off the street to wrap tefillin, and they weren't observant, they weren't in kosher, and there was so much condemnation against him. And the same thing when he wanted everyone to light Shabbos candles, even young kids. But the Rebbe, in one of his arguments, quoted this week's Torah portion, and he says, "Eich el avi." What is Judah when he's trying to fight for Benjamin, for his young brother? What does he say to Joseph? Eich el avi. How can I go up to my father? And the young kid, the youth is not with me. Their souls are bond one with the other. The Rebbe turned to these Jews, to these observant Jews, and says, Eich el alavi, how could you go up 3 times a day to daven? How could you go to temple and pray and say the Shema, which speaks about educating and nurturing the children, and say the Amidah, and the lad, the youth? You're forgetting about the youth. They're not with us. You're allowing them to be lost to Judaism. You're looking inward at yourself and not worrying about everyone else. And their souls are connected. These youth, they might be far away from Judaism. They might be lost. They might be broken. They might be bitter. They might be angry. But they're still God's children. Their souls are bond one with the other. So how could you come face God and Shul and say the Amidah and say the Shema and be all spiritual when his children are being left for the dust? Those words of the Rebbe that pierced should be our calling till today. Every time we think, do we look inward? Do we protect ourselves? Do we make sure we have a vaccine against apathy, a vaccine against indifference, a vaccine against secularism, a vaccine against ridiculing spirituality and holiness? Or do we also focus and make sure that all those that need it, the future generation, the young Jews who are disenfranchised, are also connected? May Hashem give us that. We're waiting hopefully for more vaccines, Johnson & Johnson, that they should be able to vaccinate everyone and get rid of this terrible pandemic that we have, and be able to look after each other and the same spiritually, and be able to be there for the youth, for those who are hurting, for those who are in pain, to learn from Judah, to learn from the Rebbe in our love, unconditional love for each and every single one. God bless. Have a great day.